Everybody wants to save D.C. In one way, it's the easiest. The violence was more than any other city in the country, actually, by far. It may have been more than any other city in the world. If you could think, we looked at some of the worst cities in the world, it was worse. And that's why it angers me to see the mayor saying about how they have it on the slide. Not on the slide, it was worse than ever. We have no problem getting that money. That money will come out of Congress. I think it'll be even bipartisan. I mean, I would imagine Democrats would vote for that one. When we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C. Chicago is very dangerous, great place. I built great stuff there. I have the most beautiful building in Chicago, I think. But I hate to see what's happened to Chicago.
A deadly Labor Day weekend in Chicago as President Trump continues to set his eye on the city, threatening to send in the National Guard as early as this week. At least 52 people have been shot in Chicago over the Labor Day weekend. 7 of those victims died.
The violence included 3 mass shootings that happened at Haddon in California, in Chicago's Humboldt Park neighborhood, and 2 in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood, 35th and State and 36th and Cottage Grove. ABC 7's Jasmine Miner talked to people in Bronzeville about concerns about 2 mass shootings happening within 48 hours.
In at least 2 of these shootings, there appears to have been large gatherings right before things took a violent turn. I did speak to one alderman this morning who tells me that police do have 1 person in custody. This morning, Chicago police responded to a mass shooting near 36th Street and Cottage Grove near Ellis Park. Police say they got a call about a disturbance around 1 in the morning. 4th Ward Alderman Lamont Robinson represents the district.
My understanding that there was a gathering late last night and the police were called, and I want to thank them for their service and apprehending the shooter who is currently in custody. This certainly happened early morning and we don't have any charges that are filed yet.
Chicago, a city celebrated for its resilience, yet haunted by violence. This Labor Day weekend was supposed to be filled with barbecues, family gatherings, and last summer memories. Gunfire echoed across the streets, more than 50 people shot, 7 lives lost, and in the middle of it all, a threat unlike anything the city has faced in decades. Because this time, it's not just about the bullets on the block, it's about power, control, and the president's warning. Straighten it out fast, or we're coming. From Friday night to Monday morning, Chicago became a battlefield. A teenage girl hit by a bullet while sitting inside her own home. A man shot in the leg, caught in crossfire between rival cars. 7 people wounded in Bronzeville after a drive-by left the streets scattered with blood. Each shooting, each life shattered, added to a growing sense of chaos. It wasn't just another violent weekend. It felt like the city was spiraling towards something far darker. And while police scrambled to contain the carnage, the White House watched and made its move.
Many here in Bronzeville describe the neighborhood as on the come up, and they say they're not going to let the violence stop the positive work they're doing. For one woman, that means keeping kids healthy, active, and on the field.
We're gonna push through because it disservices the kids.
Alexis Hawthorne, owner of the top-tier university football youth program, says even gun violence won't keep her from serving kids in need. Their practice comes just a few hours and down the road from a mass shooting early this morning. 5 people were shot near 36th and Cottage Grove near Ellis Park, including a 17-year-old who is in critical condition.
At the end of the day, to have 1 person that was critically injured and 4 folks in the hospital, whatever the situation was, it was senseless.
It is the 2nd mass shooting in Bronzeville in the last 48 hours. The other happened on Saturday night near 35th and State, where 7 people were hurt during a drive-by. Those like Alderman Pat Howell are taking action, telling ABC 7 in a statement, "I have long asked for additional police manpower to deal with large illegal gatherings and pop-up parties that routinely occur throughout the Bronzeville neighborhood." Officers say they heard gunshots when they got there and moved to the area of the gunfire. 5 people were shot, including a 17-year-old who is in critical condition. This morning, crews worked on picking up the mess that was left behind. It's unclear what led up to the shooting.
At the end of the day, to have 1 person that was critically injured and 4 folks in the hospital. Whatever the situation was, it was senseless.
Chicago police say approximately 2 hours later, not too far from that scene, they responded to a shooting at a bar near Vincennes in East 47th Street. Investigators say a suspect shot through the front entrance. No one was injured and no one has been taken into custody. This caps off a violent Labor Day weekend in Chicago. There was another mass shooting near 35th and State around 11 p.m. Saturday. According to police, a suspect in a vehicle pulled out a gun and opened fire into a crowd. 7 people were shot and taken to the hospital. 3rd Ward Alderman Pat Dowell, who represents the area, says all the victims in this shooting are expected to recover from their injuries. In a statement, in part, she says, "These horrific acts of violence are not tolerated in Chicago. I have long asked for additional police manpower to deal with large illegal gatherings and pop-up parties that routinely occur throughout the Bronzeville neighborhood." As far as the mass shooting on 36th and Cottage Grove, police say they did find 4 guns.
Just hours before the mass shooting in Bronzeville, Donald Trump issued a chilling warning directed at Illinois Governor J.D. Pritzker. The message was clear. If the state didn't get control of Chicago's crime, federal troops would. The response from Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson was immediate, angry, defiant. They called the plan illegal, unconstitutional, even un-American.
It follows Mayor Brandon Johnson signing an executive order this week to avoid the Trump administration from sending the National Guard into the streets of Chicago.
Us as people, we can come together and fix it out on our own. We don't need no one to come here and, wreck shack our community.
Others think the troops could help.
I got kids, and I want to see the community better. I run every day out here. I exercise out here. So for the street to be safer, I think it's really good.
But Hawthorne says her football program does just that. Teaching kids a healthier way to have fun.
We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that these kids have somewhere to come.
Alderman Lamont Robinson tells ABC7 that Chicago police do have 1 person in custody from the shooting this morning.
They warned it would inflame tensions and turn neighbor against neighbor. But behind the podiums and press conferences, whispers spread. Credible reports suggested the city had days before militarized federal action could begin. The countdown had started. Mayor Johnson knew he couldn't wait. In the hastily called press conference, he signed an executive order, the Protecting Chicago Initiative. He described it as the most sweeping campaign in the nation, designed to shield the city from federal overreach. It empowered the city's lawyers to fight the administration in court. But lawsuits take time, and time was the one thing Chicago no longer had. Gunfire continued to rip through neighborhoods. Each report of a new shooting wasn't just another statistic. It was fuel for the president's argument, proof he claimed that the city couldn't even govern itself. South Shore, East Garfield Park, Altic Gardens. The names of neighborhoods turned into crime scenes, repeated again and again on police reports. One woman shot in front of her apartment. A man executed in broad daylight. A mother of 2 gunned down on a quiet street. The violence wasn't slowing down, and it left Chicagoans asking a dangerous question. If the city couldn't protect its people, would the president be welcomed by some, even as others resisted? The lines between safety and freedom were starting to blur. Then came the moment that tipped the scale. Monday, 1 a.m., Cottage Grove Avenue near Ellis Park.
There appeared to have been some kind of large gathering overnight. Chicago police confirming that 5 people were shot near 36th Street and Cottage Grove. Officers responded to the area around 1 o'clock this morning, I should say. Police say while they were on scene, officers heard gunshots and moved to the area of the gunfire. That's where officers, they say, they found multiple victims, and several ambulances and paramedics were called to help those who were shot. The victims' ages range from 17 to 36 years old, and we're told the 17-year-old is in critical condition. Citizen app video from the scene shows a large police presence near Ellis Park as Chicago police investigated. Police say that there were 4 guns that were found in the area, and a person of interest was also taken in for questioning.
Police responding to a disturbance suddenly heard gunfire rip through the night. When the smoke cleared, 5 people were down. One of them, a 17-year-old boy fighting for his life. 4 guns were recovered, 1 person of interest taken in, but no clear answers. The teenager was no ordinary victim. He was known to the streets as Two Pistols, a member of Drench Gang. And within hours, rival crews were already mocking his condition online. The shooting wasn't just another act of violence. It was gasoline on an already raging fire. As Chicago bled, the president doubled down. The message repeated, straighten it out fast or we're coming. Governor Pritzker pushed back, warning that what Trump wanted was nothing less than occupation, a power grab dressed up as public safety. And yet, each bullet fired in Chicago made that warning sound weaker, while the president's words sounded stronger. It wasn't just a fight for Chicago anymore. It was a battle over the limits of power in America itself.
Several people were shot overnight during a gathering near a park in the city's Oakland neighborhood.
It's one of dozens of shootings in Chicago during the holiday weekend. Judy Wang is live from police headquarters with more.
CPD will release the official numbers tomorrow morning. We counted 50 people shot, 8 of those people killed so far this holiday weekend. That is since Friday evening. At least 3 of the weekend incidents were those with multiple victims, including this morning's shooting, which happened in a South Side park. That shooting occurred in Ellis Park just after 1 this morning, just steps from the University of Chicago Charter School. Police were in that area responding to a disturbance when they heard gunfire. They found 5 people shot near 36 and Cottage Grove. The victims included a 17-year-old boy who is in critical condition at the University of Chicago Hospital. Detectives are questioning someone in connection with the shooting. Police found 4 guns at the scene. Social media posts indicate a reunion party was taking place in the park. 7 people were shot about a mile away near 35th and State late Saturday. Police say a car with several people in it pulled up to a crowd. At least 1 person in that car opened fire. The victims were men and women, reported to be in good condition. CPD is also looking for suspects in a Humboldt Park shooting that wounded 4 people Sunday morning. This was also a drive-by incident with the shooters firing on a crowd that was outside from 2 cars at Haddon and California. Crime scene techs found nearly 70 shell casings. Now, the weekend victims also include a 14-year-old boy. He appeared to be the youngest victim so far this weekend. He was shot and wounded in Garfield Park. Now, according to our count, the numbers we have so far may have surpassed last year's total for Labor Day weekend. Last Labor Day weekend, a total of 31 people were shot.
By the end of the weekend, 54 shot, 7 dead, families shattered, and the city left in suspense. Would federal troops march into Chicago? Would the mayor's order hold them back? Or would the next round of gunfire be met not just by local police, but by soldiers on American streets? The truth was clear. Chicago had only days to find out, and the clock was still ticking. Alright, y'all, there y'all have it, man. That's the crazy story of the Chicago Labor Day weekend mass shootings. You know, Trump talking about he about to come through with the troops, man. And hey, hopefully Two Pistols gonna make a full recovery. And you know, he might change things around, start moving smarter. But hey, man, drillers and trappers, we out here trapping and drilling 247. Don't go nowhere. Watch that next video. Gang!